Welcome to the Young Stoics. We're your hosts, Dilan
and Luke.
This podcast is all about taking ancient Stoic philosophy and wisdom and using it to better handle modern teenage life.
So we like to start out each episode by giving a brief introduction to Stoicism for anyone who doesn't know about it already. So what is Stoicism to you, Dylan?
Alright, well, Stoicism to me is an ancient Greek and Roman philosophy about staying steady when life gets messy, and it's not about having no emotions, but it's about not letting outside factors and emotions run your life. Grades, friend drama, rumors, those are mostly out of your control, but your effort, your character, your attitude, your reactions, that's you. That's what you want to focus on. Some of the most famous Stoics are Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and so many others, and we'll be sharing some of their lessons throughout the show.
And today's topic is about happiness, anxiety, and FOMO, the fear of missing out. As teenagers, FOMO is, gets to me sometimes. So let's start out with the pressure to be happy. Dylan, how are you pressured to be happy?
I think since obviously we have a very limited time on this earth, people like to think and people like to push forward the idea that since you're here, you need to really make the most of every second. But by make the most, they mean you want to be happy every second of your life, and you want to show everyone that you're having a great time. You need to be always going, always excited, always smiling, living your best life. But I think that's a little bit of a misunderstanding of what happiness should be. But I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
I think in modern life, especially as teenagers, happiness is sort of treated as a commodity. It's similar to money, right? If you have more of it, people envy you. People are jealous. Oh, this guy's so happy. And if you're sad, people are like, oh, poor guy, he should be more happy. There's really no way to fulfill everyone's expectations of you about happiness. I think Stoicism is a lot about control.
Everyone always conflates, I think, pleasure and happiness. Just if I'm always having fun and I'm always doing something I enjoy, then I'm happy. But I think we're going to get into why that's not always true.
One quick example is last night I was pretty sad. Dylan can attest to this. There was a little party going on and I was bummed out. I was just not in a good mood. You know, I probably shouldn't have been in the party in the first place. I'd taken a nice nap earlier and I was tired. I was hungry. And I was sort of just hiding in the room, in my friend's room while everyone was downstairs, enjoying themselves. And at certain points during the night, people would come into the room and say, "What are you doing? Why are you so sad, dude? Come on, just come have fun." And I was thinking to myself, these people really just don't understand. Like, I feel like I should be allowed to be sad, to be down, to not want to socialize when I don't want to socialize. And I was getting more and more angry each time someone would tell me to be happy. And I think that's important to understand, that you don't have to be happy all the time. It's okay and it's normal and it's natural to be sad, to be anxious, to be worried at times. And there really is no happiness without those other more negative feelings.
Yeah, like I came into the room, I think I was one of the last people, and I was like, oh, like Luke, like remember our Stoic principles and stuff. And he was like, no, just let me be sad. And I was like, oh, like wow, like it's actually really interesting. I never really thought, just like let me be sad, and that's the way that I'm going to find peace. I think that's a great story, Luke, because that perfectly segues into our topic about what Stoics actually meant by happiness, not just this constant pleasure. That they didn't want happiness all the time, but that calm stability and peace, not getting affected by all these things. And that kind of happiness allows you to be sad, to be bored, to be just tired, not want to do anything, like not want to like have fun, not want to go downstairs and hang out with all the other people. You can just sit there and you can be peaceful, right? Not being affected by other things. Seneca said that true happiness is a mind that is neither uplifted nor cast down by fortune. So he thinks happiness is just being at peace and not affected by all these external influences that you can't control.
Yeah, and going back to that story I just told, a mind that is neither uplifted by fortune. That I think that uplifted part is very important. People often will pressure other people to be happy. And true happiness is not letting other people dictate how you should feel. It's about staying true to what you want, really, in that present moment.
Yeah, don't be swayed. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's what Epictetus said. It's just all about being swayed, or not swayed in our case.
These quotes kind of make me think that, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been so sad last night. Maybe I should have tried to wrestle and control my emotions. But I really think I did the right thing by allowing myself to experience sadness, because it made me more in touch with my humanity. And I know that may sound kind of cringe, but I think it's important to not try to force yourself or control like your own emotional state, especially if you're angry, right? We just talked about college. If you're sad about getting rejected, it's okay to feel sad. And you shouldn't try to wrestle with your emotions, because your emotions sort of are your identity and they are who you are in a way. And if you're, always fighting yourself, it's not a good thing to be doing.
Yeah, because it's about balance, I feel like. Like, sometimes it's true. Like, even if the reason you're sad, like, you could have maybe, like, thought about how it's an external influence and it shouldn't affect you that much. But, like, sometimes you do need to be sad, and sometimes it's good for you to just sit there and be a little upset. Because I feel like that makes the happy moments even more powerful and actually gives meaning to them. Because I think it's about, like, balance with your emotions. Like, if you feel everything and you allow yourself to feel everything, you can be more at peace and understand how different experiences can sway you. That's how I like to think about it.
I like that a lot. And that leads us into our next topic of discussion, is that anxiety comes from expectations. I know I just talked about this book, The Stranger, but it's still on my mind, especially for this topic, because so much of what we feel is in reality dictated by the way that other people see us and the expectations that other people have on us. If I were to fail a math test, I would feel sad not only because I failed myself, but also because I know that my mom or my dad or my math teacher would be disappointed in me. And that's something that I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel that I've disappointed someone else. But Stoicism teaches us that we should focus on ourselves. We shouldn't focus on impressing other people. We shouldn't be focusing on, not disappointing other people. We should be staying true to our own missions. And I think that's what Marcus Aurelius would have wanted me to do.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take that example, Luke. I'm going to steal it from you, and I'm going to put my own spin on it, because I had a very, very similar story. I had a big math midterm. I studied a ton for it, and it went pretty well. It went okay, until I got home and I realized that even though it was a small question, I missed it. I didn't see it, which is so annoying, and I forgot to go back to another question. And basically, why is this relevant, right? Because all weekend I was so upset. I was like, oh my gosh, like, how did I not see it? I checked over my work, but I still didn't see it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I think what we're trying to get at, is that I wasn't only so sad because it's going to hurt my grade. I was also sad because I studied so much, which made me expect that I'm going to do well. I'm going to crush this. I've been doing pretty well in the past. So so I had that expectation that I'm going to do well. It's a big test and I'm going to do well on it. But then when that expectation was just flouted, I got really upset. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is not what I expected to happen. So it's going to upset me and it's going to affect me a lot. I'm going to be anxious about it, even if I can't control it. Test has already been taken. There's nothing I can do to change what question I messed up or what question I missed. But yeah, I think that's what it's really about. You got to just stay in the present, not think about the past or the future.
Exactly. And the Stoics believed that anxiety comes from wanting reality to be different than it is. I think it's important that we, especially as teenagers, accept reality. That's the first part of becoming a better person, I think, is, sometimes I think, why did I not exist in the Harry Potter world, right? And that sort of makes me suffer in a way, because it's like, why is reality not this way when I really, really want it to be this way?
Yeah, there are terrible things that happen in our world, and I wish that you could just like live in like some other world where none of that happens. But I mean, you can't. You just gotta accept where you are.
And when we accept reality and we accept the way things are, we can focus on what really matters to us and what we can really change. Again, another Stoic virtue. Dylan, I have a question for you.
Tell me.
How often do you get FOMO?
More often than I'd like to admit. We should talk about it. We gotta talk about FOMO. And FOMO is basically modern Stoic hell. I think that Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus would probably cry if they saw how many kids our age, and just not even just kids, adults too, are so obsessed with other people in this FOMO, right? Like if you're at home and you see that all your friends are hanging out, what you're basically doing is you're getting in your head about these people who are hanging out completely separate from you, and like completely just like getting in your head, getting upset, sad about it, letting it affect you. Like that is the opposite of what we want as Stoics. But the worst part is that everyone goes through FOMO. So it's just really hard to combat it. But how do you think we should go about combating it, Luke?
I think one of the worst things about growing up in this time period, and it's not an awful time period to be growing up in, really, I don't think, but I think social media has really amplified FOMO. And I think that's probably one of the biggest downsides of social media, because whenever I see on SnapMap that, you know, I'm in a different location. Last weekend I was in Salt Lake City, and I was watching, you know, people hanging out on Snapchat, SnapMap, and I was getting sad because I was like, darn it, I kind of wish I was there. I kind of wish I was interacting with all these people. And then I realized I just need to put this phone down. How unhealthy is it that I'm getting jealous of other people hanging out when I'm here? I should be enjoying this experience, hanging out in a completely different place.
Yeah, you're totally right. And it's just so unnatural because, like, with the phone, like, you got to put the phone down. Because it's, like, it's not natural to know where everyone is at one time. Like, just on your phone, you can see what everyone's doing right now, what they were doing, where they are. Because, like, that makes it so much harder. And I bet that Marcus Aurelius, if he was able to know, if he had the tools and the devices that we have, and he saw that his friends were hanging out at the forum writing some poetry without him, I bet he'd get a little sad too. So it's a lot easier, I think, for them because they didn't know what everyone's doing. Like, they didn't know that their friends were all hanging out. And that maybe is how it should be, but, I mean, it's not how it is. You can see everything.
And another thing I was thinking about with FOMO and why it's so dangerous is because the solution, the quick fix to FOMO is almost inviting yourself to something. I would say a modern Stoic philosopher, Duke Dennis, said, if you're not invited, don't ask to go. That's why FOMO is so dangerous, because it leads people to invite themselves to events, to force themselves unnaturally into hangouts and whatnot. So that only causes more resentment from the people that are hanging out. Maybe those aren't your true friends, right? If you aren't invited, maybe reconsider who these people are, what they mean to you. Again, how much value you place on them as friends. And of course, FOMO hurts. It's supposed to hurt, and it's natural to suffer when you see your friends hanging out without you. But I think the most important thing is staying to yourself. You know, stay home with a good book.
I've been watching Star Wars. It's really good. Just been rewatching them. I love Star Wars. But yeah, I think we should try to think of FOMO as like a teacher. So it's like, okay, why? So I'm sad because these people are hanging out. Like, wait a minute, like, yeah, like Luke was saying, are they my real friends? Like, why don't they want to hang out with me? Like, maybe I should find other friends, right? So, like, use it. Like, maybe you'd want to know if your friends, maybe you'd rather just not know, like, my friends are hanging out without me, but then maybe it would be helpful to know. You say, oh my gosh, like, they're treating me wrong. So you can kind of do stuff with that, right? You can find out how to act in the future. and find other people who kind of appreciate you for who you are.
I kind of wanted to dive into a personal example that I've been dealing with recently. Um, Sort of a self expectation that I should always be having the best time, and I should always be going through emotions on a day to day basis. I should always be sort of living life to the fullest. And especially before winter break and during the fall, I kept on thinking like life shouldn't be this boring. It felt cyclical because I was always, just coming home, doing schoolwork, and then weekend comes around, maybe I would get dinner with my friends, and it kind of got repetitive after a while, and I was getting a little bit bored. And then I sort of realized like it doesn't have to be this way. Life is what you make of it. And if I was thinking this is so cyclical, like I want to do something fun. I want to go to more parties and stuff like that. That's the type of thinking that will drive you into a ditch. I think now, as we've been doing this podcast and discussing stoicism, I've been incorporating stoicism more back into my life, and I've been realizing it's not about having, a crazy fun, party animal lifestyle. It's about acceptance and accepting that this is reality and then deriving happiness from that.
We have to stop demanding happiness from every moment. If you can become comfortable with that routine, just like Luke was saying, that cyclical routine, it doesn't mean you have to like trap yourself in any like routine, but if you can become comfortable like with the mundane, with being bored, you're going to be so much happier than if you're always chasing some pleasure, some happiness. Because the fact is, you're not always going to get that pleasure. It's just not always going to be there. So if you can be comfortable with what's there beneath the pleasure and just like the daily life, the everyday, you're going to have a lot better time. It'll be a lot more peaceful.
I completely agree. And it's important to understand something called quiet happiness. Happiness, of course, is subjective. It looks different for different people, just like success does. And some people view success as happiness, and happiness as success. So that just goes to show there are so many different ways of thinking about happiness. But I think most importantly, what the Stoics, specifically Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, they like to stress that happiness, true happiness, comes from peace and comes from being content. It's not about going out to party and living it up. It's about acceptance, being okay with reality, controlling what you can control, and being present. Most importantly, being present. And a quick quote from Marcus Aurelius: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That just goes to show how happiness comes from the self. Can't come from other people. It has to come from the self. And specifically, how you think, what you think about. I think meditation can be a great source of integrating peace and happiness into one's life. Dylan, have you ever meditated?
I have. Yes, I actually have. I try to meditate before tests. Just I need to like focus myself, and sometimes before bed to help me sleep. Or if I'm just overly stressed. But yeah, usually I try to do it before a big test. When everyone else is like scrambling, I just like close my eyes and I like breathe. And what I try to do, I try to like suck all the air out in the room, like from each corner, and then exhale it. And I think that helps me. That's one of my strategies that I use. It helps me calm down. It helps me realize that like I'm still breathing. I use my breathing to kind of ground myself. Like I'm right here. Like maybe I'm about to take this test. Like I'm not thinking about the past. Oh my gosh, like do I remember everything? Or the future? Like what if it goes badly? What if I mess something up? Just kind of grounding myself in the present moment. I think that's what it helps me do.
And I think it's very important what you just mentioned about being present, because I think that's what Marcus Aurelius meant. I think being present is probably the number one source of true happiness, because what is that one quote? The past is history, the future is a mystery.
And today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Yeah, because I think I saw something too, Stoic text, and it was talking about how Worry comes from the future, like anxiety and worry, like that comes from the future. Like guilt, regret, sadness, and that comes from the past. So like all those negative emotions, like it comes from focusing too much on the past or focusing too much on the future. So if you ground yourself in the present, that's really helpful, I think. And also, just to add on, these moments of happiness versus pleasure, sometimes they're hard to tell. We kind of talked about this, but I think like about those moments of quiet happiness, if you think to yourself like, oh, like would this make like a good Instagram post, like that this one photo or video or clip or just whatever, like would people like think this is like really cool and insane and just like awesome? That would be like more like pleasure, right? If you're at like this big club and like you're just partying it up, fireworks, all this random stuff. I think what the Stoics would say is that a quiet moment that other people would think is just like boring, like, oh, maybe it's just like you sitting down with your mom after a long day or hanging out with your grandma. That would be the real happiness that you should pursue.
Exactly. And going back to what we were discussing earlier about letting happiness come and go. Again, that story last night, you don't have to be happy all the time. It's completely natural to be sad, to be worried. And you should treat happiness like a visitor. Accept it with open arms, of course. But most importantly, build a nice house. The house is the self, right? One of my favorite quotes is, don't chase butterflies, build a beautiful garden and the butterflies will come to you. And even if they don't come, you still have a beautiful garden.
Because, right, if you try to trap that happiness, it's going to leave. Like, you can't always be happy. That's just a fact. So it's about being comfortable, obviously embracing it and loving it when it's there. But when it leaves, you have to be comfortable with whatever you're left with, boredom, sadness. You got to accept it.
Exactly. And I think one last final point is that garden, that is your character. And the character is key to lasting happiness and to being content and at peace and accepting all the things that happen to you and controlling what you can control, because living with integrity creates a deeper happiness than approval ever will.
Well said. Seneca said that the good life is not one of pleasure, but one of virtue. Pleasure fades, but character lasts. Do good. Doing good for others will lead to happiness, right? Because you can improve your character. You're not just chasing that temporary pleasure.
Dylan, I think we should do a little challenge for our listeners.
Let's do it.
All right, challenge time. This one is simple, but every day this week, write down one quiet win. So it can be something small, something nobody else saw. Don't post it, don't tell anyone about it. Just write it down in a private journal or on a private piece of paper. And this win has to be relating to character. Improving your virtue, improving your character. But yeah, that's the challenge. Dylan, I challenge you to that as well.
All right, I'll do it, and I think that's gonna really we'll check back next episode and see if we actually did it. But I think that's gonna really help us kind of help tell if what we're chasing is pleasure or what is this true kind of Stoic idea of happiness that we're trying to find out. And Stoic sauce, get your burgers ready, and we're gonna sauce them up with these tips. Happiness isn't a constant state. Don't chase it, right? We just talked about it. Don't trap it. Don't chase it. Let it come. Let it go. And then feeling bad sometimes doesn't mean that you're failing. Again, Luke was sad at our friend's house last night. It doesn't mean he did anything wrong. He just had to be sad maybe. Enjoy those quiet wins like we talked about in our challenge. Resist that FOMO. Think of it like it's a teacher. It's telling you, these guys maybe aren't my real friends, right? And aim for peace and tranquility and contentment with the present moment. So yeah, Luke, take us out.
Well, yeah, that about wraps things up for today. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on the Young Stoics. Hit the follow button, share the episode, and send it to someone who needs to chill. You can find more info about the show in the description for this episode. And thank you to everyone, and we'll see you next time.